Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate as well as Remax Realtron back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing some of the red flags landlords and homeowners should look for when they're screening a potential tenant for their rental property. As always, you can skip the entire video to a summary of the list. At the end of the video, you can see a timestamp for the summary on the screen. But if you didn't skip, please subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Even if your review is a negative one, it's always good. Honest feedback is the best feedback. And you can find my contact info in the description box. Get in touch with me. Let's talk about Toronto real estate or even the Raptors. Who cares? I'll talk about whatever. So let's get on with the video. Previously, I had made a video which you'll see a tag pop up. Named 5 things every homeowner should know before they rent their house. So this video might repeat some of the information, but it's definitely much more in depth. And last thing before I get to the list, I just want to make sure that I make this preface, which is that for certain tenants, what I'm about to list may not mean they're a bad tenant. But generally, in my experience, having worked in rentals extensively when I first started and still doing so today, whether it's a luxury rental or a common house, these generally happen to be red flags. There are exceptions to the rules, but these are the red flags. Red flag number 3. It's a red flag if the potential tenant offers to pay the whole year upfront in cash. Now, there are cash equivalents, such as, for instance, a certified check. That's basically a cash equivalent, and a bank draft, right? Because it's been certified by the bank. You know for a fact that this amount of money exists in this account, and thus it won't bounce if you go to deposit it as a landlord. Bank drafts and certified checks are completely fine. They shouldn't be a red flag. If anything, they should entice you more. However, what is a red flag is the cash part. Now, I'm not saying this is the case for every situation wherein a tenant offers to pay the whole year upfront in cash, but typically the source at which they've liquidated and have that cash is through illicit means. Basically offering to pay a whole entire year upfront in cash. Keep in mind, cash, not certified check or bank draft, which are cash equivalents, but cold hard paper or plastic in Canada. Cash raises suspicions. Once again, they could have easily gotten the cash through illicit means. And you may say, well, I don't care where they got the cash from. As long as they pay their rent, so on and so forth, I'm good. Well, you have to keep in mind, they're renting out your house. How are they going to maintain your house? Is your house going to become a potential, as people call it, a trap house of some kind, right? Red flag number 2. It's a red flag when the potential tenant refuses to provide photo ID for either him or herself and anyone else who's going to be staying at the premises. Now, the reason you request photo ID, hopefully, is not for some sort of racial bias you may have or gender bias. The reason you should request photo ID is because you should know who is going to be occupying your household. And let me tell you why. Because in my experience, and I've had this happen to my colleagues, certain potential tenants refused to provide photo ID or did provide photo ID, but not for other people residing in the premises who weren't going to go on the lease. And what happened was they ended up being not an actual tenant, but a business person looking to rent out a house and Airbnb it. So red flag number 2 really essentially has to do with the fact that your house can be at the risk of becoming an Airbnb house unbeknownst to you. Now, some landlords are perfectly fine with that, and even some Airbnb business people, if you can call them that, I will call them that, are upfront. They call you, they say, hey, we'll take care of the property, or we're just gonna Airbnb it, if that's okay with you. That's all fine and good. I'm referring to individuals who come to you as a landlord or come to the realtor you've hired under the guise that they're gonna be the tenants, but at the end of the day, they're gonna Airbnb your house unbeknownst to you and the realtor. Some homeowners are fine with that, some are not, for obvious reasons. For instance, Airbnb properties most often default on the rental amount due because it's very much so not a fixed circumstance. Also, Airbnb properties kind of depreciate the value of the property and properties around it when you're specifically talking about condominiums. So if your condo unit becomes an Airbnb, people coming and going every other week will be a disturbance not only to your neighbors, but to you once you figure it out. Red flag number 1. It's a red flag when your potential tenant refuses or does not, by accident, perhaps intentionally, provide you with full documents. When I say documents, I'm talking about credit report, job letter, so on and so forth. Now, in the previous video I made on this, I said these are necessities. You have to request it. When you're screening a tenant, you need their job letter and you need a credit report of some kind. But sometimes tenants get slick. And when I say complete documents, I'm referring to a situation where they give you a job letter, but the job letter is not the complete job letter, basically. It's not the complete contract. It's not the complete proof of income. Because you can see at the bottom, it says page 1 of 8, but you only have 6 pages. Now this, like I said, other circumstances can be a pure accident or they've lost it and doesn't mean anything as to the quality of the tenant. But on average, most often, this means they're hiding something from you. There's something in that job letter or that contract they don't want you to see. Whether it be when their contract ends, so it could be very soon and they don't want you to see that. If they're on some sort of probationary period where they can be fired or let go, once again, they don't want you to see that. And similarly with the credit report, if it's missing pages, you won't be able to see what other balances are due, how many late payments they've had on other cards, so on and so forth. And one last thing I want to mention is Credit Karma is a no-go. That should be its own red flag. No Credit Karma. I'll make a video about that, which credit bureaus and agencies are the best, but Credit Karma generally, once again, is a red flag. But let's just keep it to 3 red flags for this video. And that's the list. All right, so to summarize the list, red flag number 3, when the potential tenant offers to pay the whole year upfront with cash, not cash equivalents such as bank drafts or certified checks, but hard cold cash. This raises suspicions, and on average, not all the time, on average, it can lead to many bad things for you and your property and the potential illicit means through which they have garnered that cash. Red flag number 2, when the potential tenant refuses or does not provide you with photo ID of either him or herself or whoever's going on the lease or other residents who are not going on the lease. Basically, exhaustive list of photo ID. Not because of hopefully some sort of racial or gender bias that landlords should have, but because in these circumstances, typically, once again, not all the time, typically they're trying to Airbnb your house. And if you're not okay with that, this should be a red flag because Airbnbs come with their own risks, especially in condominium units. And red flag number 1, when the potential tenant either refuses or does not provide you with complete documents, What do I mean by complete documents? So when we're talking about credit reports, job letters, and contracts, they give you 6 out of 8 pages or 10 out of 14 pages. On average, not all the time, on average, typically the missing pages are missing for a reason. They don't want you to see a certain thing, such as if they're on a probationary period or if the contract is up for renewal shortly, so on and so forth. And the pages that are there are supposed to suffice your satisfaction and need. Look, I'm showing you I make a certain amount, but you're not looking at the pages that are not there. You have to keep in mind what's missing. So complete documents. That's it, that's today's video. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed, please do, it means a lot. And if you didn't enjoy, give me a dislike. Why not? I'm open to negative feedback. I always like to get better, I strive to get better, and stay safe. Many more videos coming up, another edition of What Your Money Can Buy coming up in a month or so. That's my most popular series. People happen to love that series. So yes, stay safe and stay in touch. Thank you very much.